What's the strangest conspiracy theory you heard that actually turned out to be true? Project MKUltra, aka CIA mind control program. That stuff is terrifying. The hashtag Free Britney conspiracy. I saw so many people on Instagram especially that were just convinced that all her weird Instagram videos were cries for help because she was being controlled by the scenes and thought it was kind of a ridiculous theory. But with everything that came out in her court cases in the later half of 2020, it seems like all of that was actually correct. Britney Spears really was in an abusive, overbearing conservatorship for over a decade. Say what you want about Alex Jones, but he nailed the pedophile island thing like 10 years before we knew about Epstein. The rumor that the Gulf of Tonkin incident, https en.wikipedia.org/wiki/gulf_of_Tonkin_incident, was fake turned out to be true. How the CIA was proposing population control and JFK considered it but turned it down. Well, it was a very local conspiracy theory. High school rumors. But basically this one teacher and another teacher, a few months after a class trip they both chaperoned, they got married. And 9 months after the trip she gave birth. The solitaire and Minesweeper games included with Windows were actually training tools to teach
users how to use a mouse to right-click,
double-click, and drag. USB ports are deliberately made to be difficult to orient, in order to gently habituate users into the abort, rethink, retry mental paradigm which is so useful when dealing with computers. Before Maxis started making games like SimCity and The Sims, their first commercial program was a training simulation for managing a petroleum refinery. They realized the game potential of this kind of software when the end users training to run their refinery found it more fun to simulate catastrophic refinery accidents. The US government dumping massive amounts of crack into black communities in the 80s. This one is more local. But the rumor was that a guy in the football team murdered 2 people on another team after they beat him, then killed his girlfriend because she was related to one of the guys he killed, and then slit his own throat. Turns out that was true. Edit. Must read the question. Not a conspiracy. Don't upvote this comment. They're putting chemicals in the water that turn the frickin' frogs gay. The CIA recruited top American journalists to spread propaganda in the media and gather intelligence from an FOIA request in court. It came out the CIA was actually trying to read our brainwaves with radio waves. It didn't work. But still, the government actively participated in UFO disinformation campaigns. The Tuskegee experiment, among other things, intentionally dosing hundreds of black men with syphilis during their military vaccinations, I believe, because the government doesn't have enough data on the effects of syphilis in black males. For every bullshit human rights, ethics, moral violation that comes to light, there must be many, many more such events taking place. The Pigford case. https en.wikipediaorg/wiki/pigford_v._glickman, where the USDA systemically eliminated black farmers because of racism in the 80s and 90s. This is very Southern high school football, but there was a conspiracy theory that was mostly treated as a joke that these 2 high schools were bribing kids who were good at football into moving into their districts. Mostly it was spurred by the realization that a bunch of star players on both teams were transfers, and had been for years. It was mostly laughed off because most of them claimed that they moved for the better football program rather than the other way around. Eventually there was an investigation and basically the coaches, with financial support from God knows where, were literally paying for apartments for these families to change high school neighborhoods so they could join their program. And in at least 2 cases, bought them cars. The whole Hobby Lobby funded Al-Qaeda theory. Absolutely wild. In November of last year, my brother's friend said coronavirus will change our lives and it will be the next pandemic. At the time I thought that he was full of shit, but here we are now. Project Sunshine. Eisenhower's answerable to his gory deeds. Chemicals turning frogs gay. Not quite true, but close enough. It turns out if you dump a bunch of
now banned
plastics into the habitats of amphibians, which determine sex through hormones rather than chromosomes, then they can spontaneously change gender. My boss has been dipping his toe in QAnon bullshit, to the point where I'm sending out my resume for other jobs. He's full of shit, and I take pleasure at showing him proof he's wrong. But the other day he said something about the government being forced to disclose all information they have on UFOs and aliens soon because of something put into the most recent COVID relief budget bill. I checked it out on Snopes and sure enough it's legit. https www.snopes.com/fact-check/180-day-countdown-UFO/. We'll be having some UFO disclosure this summer. There's a eugenics program that gets volunteers through anti-vax and anti-masker movements. They are volunteering themselves to be killed off. The Earth is actually flat, in spots. Mrs. Smith from number 33 had 6 toes on 1 foot and an extra nipple. When I turned 17 I got to find out it was true. I took a class in college called Deception Management. It was taught by a world-renowned author and deception management professional. His name is David Camp. Look him up if you don't believe me. One class in particular that we had will always remain with me. He made 2 comments. First, he showed us a video of when Obama came into office. When Obama gets done with his speech, he goes in the back to discuss personal matters. My professor elaborated that this was a very confidential meeting. When Obama returned, he told us that something in that man's demeanor changed, and he seemed completely on edge. Freaky. The second one, he showed us a picture of the moment Bush was told of the attacks on the towers. For anyone who doesn't know, deception management involves micro-expressions, which are subtle expressions that the face give off. Good indicators for a baseline. The picture showed Bush being informed while he was reading a book to a bunch of children. Except the look on his face isn't of surprise, but more blank, like he knew something was up. Crazy shit. The Brahmin priest Holocaust in Kashmir, India, performed by radical Islamic terrorists. I love how even Indian media failed to broadcast this news. A lot of people missing the actually turned out to be true part. Abraham Lincoln being a vampire slayer and Beethoven being black. Watergate, Iran, Contra, Reagan coordinating with Iran to delay release of American hostages, and the vast right-wing conspiracy that Hillary mentioned. Our birds aren't real. Epstein didn't kill himself. The entire diversity psyop was a ploy to destroy labor unions. Those anti-Semitic edits of Ben Garrison cartoons were made by the ADL. Mark Zuckerberg thinks you're all dumb fucks. The NSA conducting mass domestic and foreign surveillance courtesy of Edward Snowden. Pineapple pizza. UFOs man. Not a conspiracy theory, but after so many Republicans defended Trump for everything he did, I said it wouldn't surprise me if they violently rioted when he was forced out of office, because I felt like some of them were so extreme they borderline worshipped him, aka my mother. The Calagian one. Never would have believed it, but then 2015 happened and my eyes were wide with shock and existential dread. The truth will be revealed one way or another. Our government allowed 9/11 to happen. https://www.youtube.com/watch v=LESOL88 WOI0. Hear me out, because what I'm about to say can mean and imply several things, and it doesn't need to be said that this is the kind of thinking that led to genocide. In fact, I find it more than slightly suspicious that the left wing of Britain's Labour Party is being bullied out, and always with accusations of anti-Semitism. And the head of the organisation, Jewish Voice for Labour, was branded a self-hating Jew and likewise bullied out of her job. The Liberal Democrat candidate for Mayor of London last year went around Pakistani majority areas to accuse her rival of being Jewish. She really is anti-Semitic and nothing's happened to her. It just seems to be Labour's left wing that's being attacked this way. If it's not actually the case, then they're really making it look a lot like they're organised Zionists who are running British politics from behind the stage. Kylie Jenner being pregnant. GG. Apple deliberately changed their keyboard algorithm to produce more errors and slow down discourse online. It's the aliens. They've been here since the beginning. They control it all. Don't let yourself believe the lies. And #X200B. Oh no, I've said too much. Oh no, they're here. No. And #X200B.
And #X200B.
The whole thing about playing music into your belly when pregnant was secretly sponsored by anti-choice groups to try and humanize fetuses in preparation for a publicity campaign to overturn Roe v. Wade. There's always been conspiracy theories about new plagues. See every zombie movie ever made. And that one was pretty true.